When John and Clara first saw this house, they thought they had found the perfect place to live. A spacious two-story cottage with a cozy courtyard, large windows, and a wooden terrace. A quiet area, friendly neighbors, fresh air. Just what they needed after many years of living in a noisy city. The house was old but well preserved. Inside, everything was clean, light, and cozy. The only thing that was a little confusing was the attic. A small, locked space under the roof with a heavy wooden hatch that had not been used for years. "We don't need it anyway," Clara said, shrugging. John agreed. They had enough space and the attic was of no importance. But already on the first night they heard voices. It was something indistinct, muffled, like a faint whisper. Clara woke up first. She lay in the darkness trying to figure out what had woken her. And it was only after a minute that she caught a soft sound coming from above, as if someone was talking right under the roof. She nudged John in the side. "Can you hear that?" John muttered something sleepy, listened, and frowned. "It's just the wind," he muttered, turning over. "Old house, wooden floors, nothing strange." Clara nodded, but the uneasy feeling did not go away. The voices continued. Muffled phrases, quiet laughter, as if several people were talking somewhere above their heads, could be heard through the silence of the night. She tried to make out the words, but everything sounded too muffled, as if someone was whispering just behind the wall, but there was no door between them and the attic. Only a locked hatch. The next morning the sounds disappeared. John said it was the wind again. But the next night the voices returned. On the fourth night, John couldn't take it anymore. The voices grew louder. Now they sounded not just like a faint whisper, but like a quiet but distinct conversation of several people. Sometimes there was laughter between them, unnatural, drawn out, as if someone was mocking. Clara hid under the blanket, squeezing her husband's hand. "We need to call someone," she whispered. John sighed. "We need to see what's in there." She tugged at his hand. "Oh, please. It's just a house, just an old attic." He smiled tightly, but he himself was not sure he believed his words. He stood up, turned on the light, and headed into the hallway. The hatch in the ceiling was open. John froze. They never opened it. The stepladder was already standing under the hatch, as if someone had known he would climb up. He looked down to where Clara was watching him from the threshold of the bedroom. There was something in her eyes he didn't want to see. Fear. But there was no turning back. John slowly climbed the ladder. The attic was dark and dusty. The air smelled of old wood, dry rags, and something rotten. He turned on the flashlight on his phone and shone it around. Things. There were things everywhere. Chairs, old toys, boxes of yellowed letters. In the far corner stood a mirror in a massive wooden frame covered in dust. And then he saw the shadows. They were moving along the walls, but not like ordinary shadows from his light. They were crawling. Their outlines were blurry, but he saw them straightening up, stretching out their arms, sliding along the floor. The voices that had been quiet before were now louder. They were talking to him. "Why did you come? Now you can see us." "Now we did see you." John backed away but stepped on something and lost his balance. The light from his phone flickered, and in that moment the shadows separated from the walls. They were no longer just spots. They were rising. And the second he saw their empty eye sockets turn to him, something rushed forward. The attic slammed shut. Clara screamed. She saw John disappear into the darkness of the attic, and the hatch slammed shut in front of her, sending up a cloud of dust. "John!" She rushed to the stepladder, trying to reach the hatch, but it wouldn't open. There was a dull thud from inside, like someone was beating on the wood from the inside. And then voices. They were very close now. Clara took a step back, clenching her hands into fists, feeling panic growing inside her. "Help me!" John's voice came from behind the attic door. It was muffled, but she recognized it. She grabbed the handle of the hatch, trying with all her might to open it, but it didn't even budge. "Clara, open it!" he screamed. But something was wrong. The voice sounded like John's, but there was something alien in it. Tone was too even. The intonations were too calm. "Clara, open up." She pulled back. The voices began to change. They sounded different now. First muffled, then whispered, then laughed. Hundreds of voices mingling into a single chorus whispered his name. John's voice carried through the cacophony, but now he was among them. "Clara, you left me." She covered her ears, stepping back. But even she ran away, even as she slammed the door behind her, even as she ran out of the house into the cold night, the voices disappeared. They were still calling her. And in the attic, among many other whispers, there was one new one. John's voice,